I mean, it was a master stroke. It just hit me like a basket of beautiful roses, scented roses. I could not believe what a great idea that was. I think the score by Leonard Bernstein is one of the greatest scores ever written for an American musical. You know, I feel that way about Porgy and Bess as the great American opera, and I feel this way about West Side Story as the greatest American musical because of Leonard Bernstein, and certainly because of Stephen Sondheim and what he contributed with his words, his lyrics. All my memories of Steve are my first memories is sitting for 3 weeks right next to him in 2 chairs during the recording session, recording all the actors laying down their vocal tracks. And Steve's his acuity, his musical acuity, he always closes his eyes, he always listens to the music, he expresses what he's loving and not loving about what he's hearing, and then he is so articulate.
There's a place for us, somewhere, a place for us.
We decided to make the setting the area between 60th Street and 72nd Street, between Columbus and the river, the Hudson River. That's where the Robert Moses movement of urban renewal, basically, declaring it a slum tenement as an excuse to tear it all down, to displace the entire Puerto Rican community and the white fourth-generation immigrant community around the outskirts of that place in order to build a cultural center for the performing arts called the Lincoln Center for the Performing Arts. And it was beyond ironic that we did all of our auditions for all the actors at the Lincoln Center, and that Justin Peck, the choreographer of our West Side Story, resides at the Lincoln Center. And the fact that we basically had our premiere last night right adjacent to the Lincoln Center. It all kind of was all the stars lined up in a very ironic way. Tony and I had worked together before on, certainly on Munich and Lincoln, and an unproduced script, which I will make someday, that he wrote for me to direct. So we had 3 working experiences, and we were famous friends and very close. And I really thought that if I approached Tony with West Side Story, he would find a contemporary way into creating a language and being able to extol the virtues of diversity and being able to support me in my #1 wish on my wish list, that every single shark, boy or girl, was going to be portrayed by a Latino, Latinx actor. And because Tony is one of the best researchers I've ever known, and he plunged into the research of that era to try to find a way in for contemporary audiences today, the majority of whom have never heard of West Side Story, let alone seen the '61 movie, let alone seen even a high school play. The majority of audiences that we hope will see this movie, this will be new to them. And Tony wanted to find a way to speak to them about the issues that were very valid in '57, but even more relevant today with all the division we're facing here in this country.
This is my first time in New York City. I want to be happy here. I want to make a life, a home.
Are you ready? Tonight is about family. The first gringo boy who smiles at you.
I never seen you before. You're not Puerto Rican.
Is that okay?
Well, I wish Rita was my idea. Rita was Mark Harris, who's Tony Kushner's husband, and Mark said, why don't you not have Doc? Why don't you have Doc has passed, and his widow, who's Puerto Rican, you can name her anything you want, we called her Valentina, comes in and she runs the store. She runs the candy store now. And Tony called me immediately and said, what do you think of this idea that my husband just came up with? And he's further suggesting that you get Rita Moreno to play the part. I mean, it was a master stroke. It just hit me like a basket of beautiful roses, scented roses. I could not believe what a great idea that was. And we had nothing to show her. We only had an idea. We had nothing to show Rita, nothing to get her to say yes. And so we had to wait till the script was finished. No, we have three former cast members of West Side Story who are actually play small roles in our West Side Story. And when I was making the film, when I was shooting the scene in the salt shed, I invited all the any cast member to come visit us from the original Robert Wise Jerome Robbins movies. So we invited George Chakiris and he couldn't come, but Russ Tamblyn spent 2 days with us, and Richard Beamer came and spent 2 days with us. He played the original Tony. I have a beautiful reunion when Rita saw him on set. I had my camera out and I just turned it on video, and I got Rita running over to Richard and throwing herself into his arms, and I got the most, and they were both crying. And it was just, I felt like a fly in the wall with the intrusion of my little iPhone, which I will never show anybody. I showed them, of course, but nobody else. But to be able to witness that moment was a very special thing for me. And then Chita Rivera came from the original Broadway production. She played Anita, and she spent an entire day on the set with our cast just fawning over her, because they had been fawning for months with having Rita Moreno as part of the company, and now they had the original Anita from the Broadway original production. So this was a very happy cast. We kept them very happy.
I want to be happy here. I want to make a life, a home.
Run away with me.
You don't want to start maybe with, I'd like to take you out to coffee?
When I know the original movie very well, and our movie is 100% based on the original stage production, not on the 61 film. But when the best number in the 61 film is America on the Rooftop. The choreography and the camera work between Robert Wise and Jerome Robbins is unrepeatable. It is absolutely it's unchallengeable. And I did not want to set it on the rooftop. I could never direct that sequence as well as Robert Wise directed it with Jerome Robbins. I could not even hold a candle to how great that scene is in the 61 film. And that brought me into the next alternative with Tony Kushner. Why don't we take it out in the streets in broad daylight? And let's cover 4 city blocks. And let's make this a celebration of San Juan Hill and the whole Puerto Rican community. We wanted the gun to play an important part in the story. Wanted the gun to be a character. And in the play, of course, cool is what they do when they cool off. After the rumble, they're needing to bleed off that excess energy and rage. And cool is an expression of in the post-tragic fight with switchblades, under the overpass, as it was in the play. We very, very much wanted that to be our own. We wanted to kind of own that, and we wanted that. So it was important that particular sequence feel new and feel different. We decided that somewhere needed to go from the first person to the third person. Somewhere had to be about Rita mourning the loss of her husband. It also had to be about the loss of Bernardo. It had to be about the last desperate connection between Maria and Tony. It had to be about the aftermath of Anita losing Bernardo. And so it is about, there's a place for all 4 of those characters. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't, but she's singing for everyone, including herself. We thought that was a very important change. The same way it was important that cool, for us, come with Tony's attempt to stop Riff from bringing a gun to a fistfight. And so we thought it was important to repurpose cool, not as a way of cooling off, but as a way of staying cool. Do not bring that gun to the fight.